can communicate between two different components which are not related to each other. Okay, so Lightning messaging service is in LWC work uh, in in somewhat similar way to the Lightning application event in Lightning Aura components. Okay, so what Aura application event do is uh, the components that are not in relationship, like if the component not the relationship is not like child to parent or parent to child. So in that case, we use application events in Aura components. But in LWC, for that we previously we used pop-up events. Now, recently Salesforce released this new framework called Lightning Messaging Service, which is basically a mechanism to communicate between different components, and not only the Lightning Web components, but also it can communicate between LWC to Visualforce, then LWC to Aura, or Aura to LWC. So no matter what technology for UI you are using, you can use Lightning messaging service to communicate between. But primarily for Lightning Web components, it is used to communicate between the components which are not related directly, like parent or child relationship. So from our previous lectures, if you remember that whenever we want to communicate from child to parent to child, we can call public method, or we can pass an attribute to the child component. And in the reverse scenario, if you want to communicate from child to parent, then we fire a custom event. Okay, what if the components are not related or they are siblings of each other? So in that case, we use Lightning messaging service. Okay, so this is all about Lightning messaging service. Let's see how we can use that. So, but before we going to look at the code, first let us recall the project that we are going to build. So if you remember, like we are trying to implement something similar to a shopping cart, okay, where you can search the product, you can filter the product, you can see the products. Okay, so our product is, let's say our product is t-shirts. So here I have these two components. One is the filter products and one is the search your favorites. Okay, so what I need to do is, so if we see, let's edit this. So here we have two different components. So the first one is our product filters. So we have all types of filters here, so that a user can filter a product according to its need. Okay. Now we have product filters where we can type a name of product and we see the result for that search. Now, these two components are not related directly. They are siblings. So I need to send some data, whatever the options I have selected from here, I need to send to this component so that it can filter it further. So this component can filter only based on the name of product that we type here. But this is some kind of advanced filter. So I need to send this filter data, whatever the filter criteria are, I need to send those to this component. So for that, we are going to use Lightning messaging service. So if you want to know more about Lightning messaging service, I'll share the link for the documentation, and we will move further. So in our project, so this was the design that we created. So here we have the search product, this one, and on the left side we have the product filters, and I have implemented that product filters component. It's not 100% complete yet, but it's something that I can present you how it works. So like I have not added all kinds of validations and corner case scenarios, but it works. Okay. So what we need to do in order to communicate using Lightning messaging service. First of all, you need to go to your VS Code and you need to create a folder called message channels. In order to communicate between two components using Lightning messaging service, you need to create a messaging channel. And as of now, there is no option to create the messaging channel from UI. So you need to either create it using sfdx command, or you can create it manually using a Visual Studio Code. So here, if this was a new project, this folder wouldn't have exist here. So what I did is I right click and I said new folder and I named it as message channels. And under this message channel folder, you can create as many as message channels. Okay, and each message channel have different parameters. So okay, so here I have created this product filter channel, and what inside in this product filter channel, so this is the metadata file for that channel. So here, first thing is we have this master label, which is similar to the name of the message channel, which is product filter channel. Is set to true, so that it is exposed and can be used. Then this is the description. This is the same filters to other components. So here we are sending filters data and Lightning message fields. So if we want to pass some data, then we create Lightning message fields. And we need to define the field name and its description. We can create multiple fields here. So, so my field name is filters data, and the description is object that contains the filter criteria for product. So I have list of these categories, then minimum price, max price, brand, and then size. I need to send all this information to this particular component, so that I prefer using object, so that later I can easily add more filters. So I didn't create separate message field, Lightning message field for each of the criteria. So now this was the first step. So the second step is so before we move to step 2, how we get this format where I can get this particular information. So that so if we go to the metadata documentation for messaging channel, we can find that format here. I'm sending the link. So all the fields that we have configured are mentioned here, like is expose, a description, and then a lightning message fields. And here you can find one sample code. So to create that, what I did is I created a new file. Let's create another one. Assume that we need 2 message channels. Okay. So I'll create new file. I'll say sample message channel dot message channel something dot message channel dot meta dot accept. Okay. Meta. Now I just copy paste it here. I'll change the name. Okay, sample name is sample message channel, and here I have these fields. I can remove those or I can add more. And you need to deploy this. So once you deploy, you are done with the first step. So for this I have already done. So I'll remove this because I have already created this one. Now, so in our project, so this is our component which publish the event, and this is the component which subscribe to the event. So what we need to do in order to publish this event, and how we can send data so that it will be accessed by all the subscribing components. So for that, let's go to our product filters component. So here I need to import the message channel that we created. If you remember the name of message channel is product filter channel. So this is I have imported here. Underscore C is added because this is a custom one. We are not using any standard. So, and this is so to publish the event, I need to import the publish method from the message service framework. So this method is already defined in the lightning/message service. So we need to import that, and then we have another import which is message context. Why message context? Whatever the configuration for this message channel we have defined. So it imports the message context. So the message context, we need to wire that inside the component. Either we publish event or we subscribe event. We need to import and call it using wire in both of the components, the subscribing and the publishing component. And the publish method, we just need to call by passing the message context, the channel that we imported here, and the message. So message, so here is the message. So remember, here we created lightning message fields called filters. So that I have mentioned here. The name should be matched. Otherwise, it will not work. So you need to match the name, the lightning field message fields name to the field names in the message. So here I imported my product filter channel, and I wired the message context so that the component is aware that this message channel we are using, and this is the configuration for that. And from here I am publishing the message context, publishing the lightning message service event, so that the receiving component can subscribe to this particular message and it can receive the data. So this is your second step. So, and how I'm passing this data. So if you can see on the UI, I have this category, minimum price, maximum price, brand, and size. So in the same product filters component, I have defined this. So for this category, I have used the standard lightning checkbox groups component. Okay. So where name is family, I have labeled it as category, and I have imported the families, standard family fields, pick list values. And how I got the pick list values? So, excuse me. So there is a standard API to get a pick list value of a particular field for particular object. So we need to import that, and we wire that using record type. So we need to pass record type ID. If you don't have any default record type ID, or if you don't have record types on that object at all, then you can pass the global record type ID for Salesforce, which works for every object which does not have any record types. So as my product object does not have any record types, I have used the default. And so this is the record type ID, and this is the field API name. How I got this field? I have imported it using the schema, like Salesforce. So import family field from @Salesforce schema product2.family. So in this particular wired attribute, I get the pick list values for the family, and using those pick list values, I have generated checkbox group. So here I have added null check. So it will try to load this checkbox group only when there is a data from the wired method. And if there is a data, the actual values are stored in the data.values. So that this component will get list of pick list values, and it will generate this particular list. And whenever I will select these checkboxes, it will so here I have added on change handler. It will assign the value from the component to the component's property. So I have used one method for all of the inputs, so that and I have added dynamic names. So this of event.target.name. So that target name I am getting here. Here. So what it will do is this. So this is nothing but this line is nothing but this dot families is equal to value. So it will dynamically get the name of that particular field. So I have added that name for each of the field, and every time the input is changed, I'm publishing that change so that the receiving component can update the data based on the new filter criteria. So Next, I have used lightning sliders for minimum and maximum price. And again, I am calling the same handle change method. Next is this is simple input text for brand, and I'm using the same input uh, handle change method. And last one is the combo box for size, and for this as well, the pick list value I have retrieved using wired method, wired get pick list values, and here I have used the size field instead of the family. So I have got the pick list values for the size as well. Okay. So our component is ready. So let's revise the step 2 once again. So first you need to import the publish method and message context from messaging service, and you need to import the messaging channel that you want to use. So in our case, we are using product filter channel. So once you import that, you need to wire the message context. Okay, and this third step is you can publish that you need to define call the publish method by passing the message context that we have wired, then the filter that we have imported here, and then the message that I have defined here. And remember that the properties inside the message object should match with filters data, so that the receiving component will get the property. And so this is the handle change method I have defined. So to break the code into smaller chunks, I have defined a separate method for publishing this message, where I have passed, I have created one object, and I have defined all the properties inside that using these values, and I have called this inside the handle change. So anytime I change these values, the component refreshes itself based on the criteria that we have provided. And if any criteria is not provided, like here, it will just ignore that. So I have not mentioned any category, so it will not add a filter for category. Okay, so this was our step 2. Let's move to step 3. So in step 3, we need to implement code for this particular component, product search. So if you remember the previous session, so I have already discussed about this. The UI side, nothing is changed, but in the backend, like the subscribe, like the publish event, I need to import the subscribe, unsubscribe, and the message context. Notice that both of the components are importing the message context and are wiring it to are calling that message context using wired adapter. Okay, so subscribe, unsubscribe, and message context I have imported from the same lightning/messaging service namespace. Next, I have imported the same channel here. Okay, and this is a method that I have written. So we have already written this method, I think, our first, second, or third session. So I have made some changes in this method to add additional filter criteria in the product search query. So here in this component, first of all, I have wired the message context, and then I have defined the subscribe messaging channel method. So here what I'm doing is I am setting the if the component is already subscribed, it will just return. If it is not subscribed, it will subscribe. It will call the subscribe method from the messaging service. It will pass the message context, very similar that we have done in the publish method, and the second parameter is also same, the channel that we have imported. So third parameter is different. So here we pass the payload, whatever the message, but here we are passing one callback function which will receive message parameter, and we can get that data and we can process that data. So what I have done is I have created one filters data attribute here, and I have assigned the message dot filters data into this property, so that whenever the message is fired from the product filter component, it will update the filters data property. Now, so this is for subscribing, and for also we need to unsubscribe this whenever we don't need to use this message channel. Say that component is no longer visible on UI. So before we disconnect that from the UI, we can unsubscribe to that particular channel. So for that we just need to pass the subscription that we have stored into the unsubscribe method, and here we set the subscription to null, so that this method will not return from here next time it is going to subscribe. Now, where did I subscribe it? In the connected callback. So in our last session, we discussed about connected callback. It's a lifecycle hook and gets called whenever the component is loaded on the UI or on the page. So whenever the component is connected, I am subscribing this component for our product filter channel event, so that it can receive the messages from the publisher. And disconnected callback. In the disconnected callback, I am unsubscribing this particular message channel, so that whatever the resources will get free, and the publisher component, whatever the framework, knows that okay, this component no longer need to receive the updates on this particular message channels messages. Now, so this is done. We have created the message channel. We have imported that, and we have published the message channel. We have also subscribed to the message channel. So the three major steps for implementing the Lightning message service are done. Now, how I am passing this filters data to the wired method. So if you can see here, I have mentioned, I have defined the filters data, and I have passed the same filters data property to this get products method, so that as it is wired. So every time this filter data get updated or the name get the whatever the search key for this gets updated, it will again it will call the apex method. Let's go to our apex method and see what we are doing here. So if you remember, we only had a single where clause, this select name, image, URL and display price. So we need display image, URL and display price so that we can display it here. Okay, from product to, so this is a standard object where name like, so the key that we enter here. So I have additional parameter to this, which is filter wrapper filter data. So now what is filter data, filter wrapper? So if you have noticed, these are like 5 different fields or 5 different filter criteria. So if we add more than 3 parameters to any function, then it becomes very difficult to read and understand that, okay, which parameter is where. So if I have added all these parameters here, so it will look like this, something like this. And whenever I'm going to call this method, let's say I am calling it here, so it will be like this, A, B, C, D, whatever the parameter names. So just by looking at this, we don't know which parameter is what. So that in the best practices, it is always recommended that we don't pass more than 3 parameters to any method, be it your Apex method or JavaScript method. So in that case, what you can do is you can either pass a list of parameters, or you can pass a map of parameters, or you can create a wrapper class for that. So I have used the third approach, which is wrapper class for that. Why wrapper class? Because those criteria, those parameters are of different types. So if you remember here, for families, this is a list of strings. This is one family, two family, whatever the families I select here, categories. This is a list of fields. So here I have defined list of strings, and I have defined Aura enabled, and I have defined getter setters so that Aura, the LWC components can set data to these properties. Then I have min price, which is decimal. Again, I have Aura enabled it, and I have defined getter setters so that it is available publicly. The next one is max price, which is again decimal, which is also Aura enabled. Next one is Aura enabled brand for this text. And the last one is string size. So whatever the size that we choose for whatever the size of the t-shirt. Okay, so and the same variables I have defined here. So these names I am passing the same object into Apex. So this particular attribute names should match with the class members of this filter wrapper, and it should be case sensitive. So here I have families, then I have min price, then I have max price. I use the exactly same name while passing that data into filters data, and that filter data I'm passing to the wired apex method. Now we have got all the filter criteria inside our apex controller, and here we need to make a query. We need to perform a query based on these criteria. So as in the component, I have said that name will be always there, and first by default it will be blank, and if it is blank it will search for all of the products. So I have, so that as I know that name will be always there, so I have directly added that condition here where name like whatever the text is entered here. Next, I'm checking if the filter data is not null. If it is not null, then I'll add all the filters one by one. So if families, if the user have selected any of the families, it will add in that query that this is the string query and I am doing dynamic query here. So this after this I will add where name like name like this string and family in family. Why in? Because this is a list of strings and I have to get all of the selected values based on all of the selected product category. So that I have done and family in families. So remember, families is list of string. Next condition is filters data dot min price. So this minimum price, and I have created this display price on product. So I need all the products which are starting from, let's say, this particular value. Okay, so I have defined that display price is greater than minimum price. Next one is maximum price. Let's say my budget is $70. So I have added this filter so that it will show me all the products which are between, let's say, $60 to $70, whatever the products available between this particular range. And the last one is, or the second last one is brand. Let's say I have a, I want to search for products of a particular brand, then I can put the name here. So, but the data for the brand I have not added. So as there is no data, it will display no products. Okay, and let's say my size is XL. So it will show all the t-shirts or all the products which are of size XL. Okay, and so here I have configured or I have built the query, and I'm doing database.query, and I'm returning this data to get products which will be passed here and which will be rendered on this component. So and what else we have here? Yeah, so like it's pretty straightforward. Again, so I know it might be a little difficult to understand. So as we have some more time, what we will do is we will go through the steps once again. So the first step is you need to create the messaging channel. And how do we create that messaging channel? Message channel. If you already have a folder in your VS Code, let's say message channels, you can go to this page. Where is that now? Here, I have already shared the link for this. You can create the messaging channel of your choice and you can put, you need to deploy that. Once you deploy that, you need to import that channel, and you need to import the publish method and message context from message service APIs. Once you import that in the publishing component, the component which is going to publish the event, so you need to wire the message context so that the component is aware of the message context, and you need to call the publish method from this message service framework, and you need to pass the message context, the channel that you have created and imported, and you need to pass the message. So what is message? So inside the message, you can pass all the fields, lightning message fields that you have mentioned. So as you can see here, I have passed filter data. What if I had another one? Let's say I have another one message fields. Let's say let's assume something that location. Let's assume that I am passing the location of the user, and I assume that I'm getting that from browser. So I have defined these two message fields, lightning message fields. How do I pass additional? In the JSON format, I do filters, whatever the filters are, what comma location, and whatever the location variable is. Let's assume that this dot location, and so on. So you can add as many as parameters. So once you are done with the publish code, now we need to go to the component which is going to subscribe to these events. So in this case, this is our product search. So first of all, you need to import the subscribe method and the message context. Then you need to import the filter channel, the same filter channel same message channel that you have used to publish the message. So remember, if there is a mismatch in the message channel, the message will not be delivered. So, and also you can add multiple message channel. You can publish multiple messages from one component, and also you can subscribe to multiple message channel from the single component. Okay. Likewise, we have done in the publisher component. We need to import and call the message context using wired attribute. And once we have done that, we need to define two methods for subscribing and unsubscribing the message channel. Here we will call the subscribe method from the message service framework, and then we'll pass message context, then will the whatever the message channel, and the callback function which will process the data received from the publishing component. And we need to call the subscribe method by passing the subscription. So we have defined these methods. So the subscribe event method, you need to call in the connected callback, and the unsubscribe method, you need to call in the disconnected callback. And now you can, whatever the data you have received, you can use that in in your component. So this is what Lightning Messaging Service is. So we'll see once again a demo on this. Let me refresh this. So there are certain limitations with Lightning Messaging Service, which are Lightning Messaging Service is not yet supported in mobile and in communities. And there is one thing, mobile communities and what I'm not able to recall that, but it is not supported. Yeah, managed packages. Yeah, so this is not yet supported in these three um, uh, like three scenarios. So like if you want to use this in communities or managed package or on mobile devices, this is not yet supported, but soon it will be available. But I'm not sure like when. So what if you want to do a similar kind of communication in your components, and you want to use that either in communities or either in a managed package? So for that, there is a workaround. So before, which is called pub/sub library. So if you search for pub/sub library, you can get that from the LWC recipes. So before Lightning, so this Lightning messaging service was made generally available in summer, I guess winter 20. Before that, yeah, there was only one option, which was pub/sub library, which is still available there. But if you can use, you should always go with the messaging service. But as there are limitations with messaging service, Lightning messaging service, you can go with that in case you need. So this is my component. By default, I'm showing all the products. Let's say I have a, let's say I need size M. I'm not sure if there are any field. Okay. Excel, and let's assume that this is my max price. So if you can see that all the products are between this range 53 and 82. So as I update this, the component automatically retries the data. And if you can see here, I have added the console log as well in the product search. So whenever the message is received, it will log that message. So let's do it again. So let's say I update this to, let's say, 60. So as soon as I update, it sends the data. If you can see here, message console. So if you can see that the product search, this is the product search component. So message JSON.stringify message. So what we have in the message, we have filters data. And what we have in filters data, families, min price, max price, and size. The brand and brand is not there yet because I haven't entered anything. Let's assume, so there is no data, it will not show anything. But if as soon as I added one category, it will, okay, so it will add that, and same, it will query in the, let's say I add brand here, polo. Now all those fields will be sent to the this component. And if you can see here in the logs, I need to refresh. Okay, so if you can see here the debug logs, you can see the query here. See whatever the values that I have sent, that I have selected, how it flowed, how the data flowed. It first got into this component that it from the messaging service. It was sent to this component, and this component searched that data. This component passed that data to Apex, and then Apex performed that query over here. So it will not return. So because there is no data, if we remove this criteria, it will show up. Yeah, that's it about Lightning messaging service. Um, so this is the only one feature of Lightning messaging service that you can communicate between two different unrelated Lightning Web components. But another cool thing about Lightning messaging service is you can communicate between Lightning Web component and Visual Force page. Sometimes you need to um, add Visual Force page or add Lightning Web component on a Visual Force page. Like people usually do that if they want to display that on a site page, force.com site. So in that case, like previously, it was very difficult to communicate between LWC and Visual Force. So with this, it is a very easy and standardized way to communicate. Again, it can communicate between any combination of Visual Force, Aura components, and Lightning web components. So the other two parts, like how we can communicate between VF and LWC or VF and Aura using Lightning messaging service. So might be so this is out of the scope of this particular session, but surely in future we will consider making any small like workshop, like 1 hour workshop on that, where you can learn about those things. So we have 4 minutes available. So do you guys have any queries, any questions? Not only for this session, anything about a Lightning Web component that we have learned in all those 7 sessions. Yeah, so Krishna had asked me like where we can post our doubts for clarification. So for that, what we can do is, so yeah, so there is a Telegram group. So if you are in there, you can post the post your queries over there, or what you can do is, or else you can also connect me on Twitter. So if you have any queries, so